5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 10.
It is a great pleasure to be back on KBC Channel 1.
Good evening and welcome to Channel 1 Weekend on this 20th day of June 2021. Happy Father's Day as we begin this bulletin. Let me take that opportunity. It's a couple of hours to the day end, but happy Father's Day to all the fathers who are making a difference not only in their family's life but also in the society. Of course, we have something on how the day was today, being the Father's Day, but other news making headlines tonight include:
I'm challenging my fellow leaders to live in accordance with what we proclaim publicly or even privately, and more so in writing. Yani ukiandika sahi yako mahali usema hii ni coalition agreement kama ya NASA, coalition agreement ya Jubilee na wale wengine, then you live by that, particularly where there's a written commitment.
Shooting from the hip, NASA principals trade barbs as the bitter divorce continues to unearth some deeply rooted political mistrust. A bitter paternity row. Man stabs his 2 children, attempts suicide in Nyandarwa's Ziwani estate over a paternity dispute. And happy Father's Day. The world honors the contribution of the father in bringing forth a society.
Remember, we are also live on Facebook, Twitter, also on YouTube, and also in our KBC app. If you don't have it, download it. It's going to help you, and especially to get news and programs, even if you are on the go. Well, at KBC Channel 1, at Njue, Byron Abuli will be our sign language interpreter tonight. My name is Njue. Welcome. We begin on a political note where Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has hit out at ODM leader Raila Odinga, accusing him of failing to honor political agreements. Speaking in Murang'a County, Kalonzo argued that Raila's action raised serious questions about his integrity. Kalonzo and Odinga have been throwing political barbs this week, which began with Kalonzo Musyoka vowing not to support Odinga's presidential bid.
It has been a week of thinly veiled political jibes between NASA principals Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka. It all began with Kalonzo saying he had withdrawn his support for an Odinga presidency. Odinga would then fire back, telling the Wiper Party leader that he is not angling for his endorsement. The Wiper Party leader, attending a church service in Murang'a County on Sunday, responded to ODM leader.
Mimi siwezi kurudi nyuma. Na ndio hapa mimi niombewe, siwezi kurudi nyuma. That's the most important thing. And by the way, mmesikia nimebweka. Nimebweka kweli. Nitazidi kubweka. Dhidi ya ukabila, nitabweka dhidi ya ufisadi. And therefore, join the kubweka team. Because hatuwezi kunyamaza, tutabweka.
Kalonzo, whose party has a cooperation agreement with the ruling Jubilee Party, says he has no hard feelings about the prospects of ODM coining an alliance with Jubilee.
We are trying to see going forward kama viongozi wa Kenya hii, and I want to be there and I want to be held on account. What I say is what I will leave tomorrow. Siwezi nikasema maneno leo hapa na kesho nigeuke niseme mengine. I'm challenging my fellow leaders to live in accordance with what we proclaim publicly or even privately, and more so in writing. Yani ukiandika sahihi yako mahali useme hii ni coalition agreement kama ya NASA, coalition agreement ya Jubilee na wale wengine, then you live by that, particularly where there's a written commitment. And I will insist, written commitment.
But as NASA continues to self-destruct, National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi is defending his coronation as Mount Kenya region spokesperson. Muturi has told off Central Kenya governors who have refused to embrace him as the spokesperson.
Uwezi kwanza kusema ati wazee wa Njue ati ni wakora. Hiyo si madharau. Tafadhalini, ndio nasema lazima yale yanatoka kwa mdomo yetu lazima tuchunge. Na pia desturi zetu huku upande huu wa mlima siheshimiwe na wale wengine pia.
Meanwhile, Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka and Majority Leader Samuel Pogisio have urged the church to pray for the country. The two leaders spoke in Kiambu County, where they urged the church to guide Kenyans in electing incorruptible leaders.
Tuombee nchi yetu. This country is bigger than everybody else. Tuombee nchi yetu. And this is the time the church must come out. Kwa sababu, unajua hapa peke yake ndio siwezi kuinua mkono naseme baba askofu umeongea mbaya. You must provide leadership.
Niliona jana huko West Pokot, siasa ya West Pokot walikuwa na endanger watu huko. Watu wakiwa na rallies kubwa kubwa. Why? What is the hurry? What is the hurry when corona ikisuka West Pokot sahi, hakuna dawa huko, hakuna nini, you're going to hurt more people.
Former Kiambu Governor William Kabogo cautioned the Mount Kenya electorate against falling prey to merchants of political division ahead of 2022 general elections.
Mahali tunaelekea, haswa sisi watu wa mlima Mount Kenya, tuko hatarini. Kwa sababu kama hatuko pamoja, tutabebwa ufala.
The leader spoke in Limuru during the homecoming of the newly installed Bishop Paul Jenga Kinyenje of AIPCK. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
Countdown to the 2022 general election around the corner. Many are now making their positions known. Businessman Jimmy Wanjigi is among those jostling for space to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta in next year's general election. The businessman, who has been in the political shadows, now claims his time has come and he is focused on the big seat. But is the ground ready for him?
Wanjigi, who is expected to make a formal announcement in the coming weeks, says he's tired of being a kingmaker. The businessman says his sleeves are up as he readies himself for next year's campaign. Though he did not reveal what would be his campaign platform, promising to reveal at the right moment, pundits believe Wanjigi will try his bid on an economic platform, having been in business for many years.
Jimmy is disrupting the status that has been there. He's not a traditional politician, and I think he just wants to put that and say he has been a supporter. He's an ardent supporter of all the politicians. He's a state investor. That's what we would call them. And now this time around he's saying that I want to do what Trump did. And there has been those kind of circumstances when we see investors who put their money on politicians. They say enough is enough. Let me do it myself, because you don't feel like you can trust, or you don't see anybody who has the capacity to do the way you'd want to do these things. So for him, he represents the business class. I find like he's one guy who is coming to say that from a business angle, let us have our own.
On whether he will team up with any other presidential hopeful, Wanjigi says he will also reveal the same when he makes his announcement.
Musalia Mudavadi. There is a chemistry, even mentioning the two names, Musalia and Jimmy Wanjigi, there is a chemistry up to there. Number two, Musalia has the face of political face. Jimmy Wanjigi could be coming out with the finances.
But who is Jimmy Wanjigi? Wanjigi, the son of former Kamukunji MP Maina Wanjigi, has been a political strategist since 1992. Wanjigi is a political mentee of the late Kenneth Matiba. For a man who has been operating behind the scenes, his announcement comes as a surprise. Wanjigi is said to have played a pivotal role in crafting the alliance between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto through their parties TNA and URP. Wanjigi fell out with the duo and shifted his support to ODM leader Raila Odinga. In 2017, financing the National Super Alliance activities across the country, including the push to swear Raila Odinga in Uhuru Park. Natively from Murang'a County, Wanjigi believes he can lead the charge on behalf of Mount Kenya region after President Uhuru Kenyatta. But he has to first create his political base with Mount Kenya region, already having the coronation of National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi and even Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria, all said to be eyeing the same seat.
If he was to ask me, I would actually ask him to focus from the economy angle and say we are the business people. The business people want to have their own candidate because they are the one who suffers when the economy is not performing. That would be a better strategy for him. Him claiming the region, I don't think he has a face for any region that you'd really say it is a Murang'a thing or a Kiambu thing.
Away from that, a man has stabbed his 2 children in Nyandarwa's Ziwani estate over a paternity dispute. Ken Boro, who also stabbed himself, set his house on fire after hurting the 2 girls and currently admitted in hospital and is said to be arraigned in court tomorrow.
The 2 children, aged 7 and 1, are fighting for their lives in hospital after they were stabbed by their father following a domestic dispute. Ken Buru is said to have stabbed the 2 minors before setting his house on fire in an attempt to kill himself after stabbing himself in the stomach on Saturday evening. The 7-year-old girl sustained 10 knife stabs on the back, while the 1-year-old girl sustained 5. Neighbors claim Buru had a quarrel with his wife, who was not at home at the time of the incident, over the paternity of the 2 children.
Baba yao aliwadunga, halafu akajidunga, na halafu wakawakisha na akatoroka, lakini askari wa Mairoinya walijitahidi na wakamshika. Na kwa nyumba imeugua yote, hakuna kitu kimeshukuliwa, yote imeugua, na nyumba ilikuwa ya mawe, viti, kila kitu kimeugua.
Tukasikia mama akipiga nduru, tukaamua tukuje na huku. Wakati tulipokuja hapa tukakuta huyu mzee ameshika bibi yake anataka kumdunga kisu. Sasa mimi nikaingia nikaanza kuambia muachilie. Sasa ananiambia dimia ananidunga. Sasa mimi nikaogopa, nikarudi nyuma. Bibi akienda kumshika hapa akararua nguo, bibi akatoroka, akafunga gate. Sasa mimi nikapanda juu. Wakati nilipopanda pale kwa stima, nilimuona kidunga mtoto kisu. Nikaanza kumwambia ache, kana nielewa. Nilimwambia achane na mtoto, yeye akanajua lakini achane na watoto. Akaweka huyo mdogo chini, alafu akachukua huyu mwingine. Huyu mkubwa akiita mamake, juu uchungu sasa anaanza kumdunga.
It took the intervention of area assistant chief and the police to stop the angry neighbors who were baying for his blood.
Hiyo kijana akasema, "Mam, mimi nataka hii watoto wafanywe DNA." Mimi nikamuuliza DNA ya nini? Na watoto wanaonekana ni wako. Akaniambia, "Hii nyumba mimi nitachoma na niue hii watu. Na niue hii watoto. Nitawaua na nishome hii nyumba." Nikamwambia, "Hakuna nyumba utashoma."
Waidha yangu kwa wasichana nawaambia hivi, mtu akijua analeta mtu kwa nyumba yake, ajue analeta mtu aina gani, ajue huyu mtu ametoka wapi. Kwa sababu huyu umekuja umeweka kwa nyumba yako, anakusikilia wivu. Ukitenda kitu kidogo anaona sasa unamfanya madharau ati kwa sababu yeye ndio mwenye nyumba.
And the jinx didn't end there. A Nyandarua County fire engine, which was headed to the scene to put off the fire, was involved in an accident along the Nyahururu-Okalau Road, with the driver sustaining minor injuries.
Tunataka kushukuru serikali ya Nyandarua ambayo walisikia hiyo kisa, wakatupatia gari yao ikuja itusaidie mambo ya kupima moto, na moto imepimwa, lakini kwa bahati mbaya gari hiyo ya Nyandarua nikitoka huko tu kufuka mto nikakuta imeanguka na imeanguka vibaya.
na nasema pole kwa watu wa Nyandarua.
Tragic indeed. And on that note, we are taking our first breather. But before then, allow me to appreciate Tom Ezekiel. You're watching from Blue Hills, Kipkelion. Victor Kipkoech Kipyegon, you say you're watching from Sotik in Bomet County. Fande Shapil from Malaba Border, you say Happy Father's Day to your dad, Bramwell. Olita Boni Waze, you're watching from Kisii County. Keep them coming, Karen Juma, all the way from Kakamega. Let's take that break. We'll be right back.
My number one instrument is the guitar. Music is the food of life. Play on. What's your number one?
For many years, you watched me in front of your screens as I brought you business news. You invited me into your hearts and into your living rooms. It's easier to share stories of success, but I did suffer a great catastrophe. Those are stories that we easily hide under the carpet, but eventually I had to face it.
Bwana Motiso, pikipiki yako ndio hii. Uko shoni yangu. Hii pikipiki ni unakumbuka uniekelea the lowest unique bid yako ilikuwa ngapi? 18 shillings. Na unajua kuendesha hii gari? Kidogo. Haya, kitoko yako shika helmet, kifungu yako chomoka na mali yako.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bid yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bid yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bid ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio ununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Did you know that the policy document is evidence of the existence of an insurance contract between you and your insurance company? It is important to know the terms and conditions of your insurance policy. Make sure you obtain, read, and understand the terms and conditions of the policy document. Now you know. IRA, promoting insurance, protecting the insured.
This is it. The wait is over. The rally drivers are here. 4 days to go to the biggest sporting event this year, the WRC Safari Rally. Catch all the drama and action of the Safari Rally live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1 from 24th to 27th June. This event will also be covered live on KBC Radio Taifa and streamed live on www.kbc.co.ke. Don't miss out. Rally in the wild with KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Welcome back and thanks for keeping it Channel 1. Let's now focus on health matters, where Kenya's coronavirus positivity rate has dropped to 8.2% following confirmation of 283 new cases out of 3,452 samples. The county of Nairobi is still leading with 88 cases, even as the counties which were recently classified as hotspots continue to record high number of cases. 9 more deaths resulting from the COVID-19 have also been recorded over the last 24 hours.
Health, 283 more people have tested positive to COVID-19 from a sample size of 3,452. The figure is representative of an 8.2% positivity rate, a significant drop from the 11.8% recorded on Saturday. Of the new infections recorded Sunday, Nairobi is leading with 88 new cases. Some of the counties declared as hotspots are still seeing an increase in the number of COVID-19 cases. Kisii County recorded 33 cases, followed by Kisumu at 24, Siaya 15, while Homa Bay and Busia had 10 cases each. Places of worship closed their doors to the faithful this weekend in adherence to the revised measures announced by the government this week.
Ukiona supermarket ndio mahali watu wanajazana inafanya kazi. Ukiona matatu bado sinabeba watu na ni masaa 6 kutoka Nairobi mpaka Kisii ama masaa 7 na kanisa inamaliza 1 hour. Na ukiona masoko kama hapa kwetu asijafungwa.
The message was given by the Council of Governors, and yet we have the Interfaith Council whose members always give us guidelines. This one was given abruptly. We have not heard what the Interfaith Council says. And then on the ground, when the governors met, it could have been kind for the government to let the church be involved to give our views what we think is on the ground.
Meanwhile, the number of COVID-19 related fatalities has risen to 3,456 following the death of 9 patients. 1,106 patients are still in hospital, with the number of those in need of intensive care climbing to 99. Another 5,488 patients are receiving care under the home-based management program. As at Sunday, out of the over 1 million vaccines administered so far, 188,364 are second doses. Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
Elsewhere, 3 people have died and several others are nursing serious injuries after a public service vehicle veered off the road and rammed into a house at Metamanywa in Nyamira County. Those who witnessed the accident said the driver of the ill-fated matatu appeared drunk.
Neighbors say they heard the commotion, then shortly after, desperate cries for help.
Wakati Nissan imeanguka hapa nje, kushtukia sikujua ni Nissan gani, kashtukia mama mwenye alikuwa anakaa kwangu. Ananiambia nimuokoe.
Sasa tulitoka sasa ndio maadhi amepiga nduru watu wakakuja.
The residents alleged that the driver appeared drunk and that the matatu had red ribbons, perhaps to fake its destination.
Vijana walisema the driver alikuwa amelewa. Aka lose control. Alafu alikuwa ameweka vitu za red wakidanganya juu anatoka matanga.
3 people lost their lives in the accident while several others are admitted in hospital with various degrees of injuries. Masaba North Police Commander has called on motorists to practice caution on the road to curb carnage.
Wale ambao wanasafiri wasinyamaze. Wakiona gari driver anakimbiza gari vibaya, tunaomba madriver kama masaa ya kafyu imekushika, inakuwa ni vyema mpumzike mahali kafyu imewashikia. Hasa hizi kaunti zimefungwa kwa sababu kila mahali kuna roadblocks na watashikwa.
Motorists have further been warned to avoid driving past curfew hours. Yusuf Farr, Channel 1 News.
The Kenya Union of Domestic Hotels, Educational Institutions and Hospital Workers has threatened to down their tools if the Ministry of Education fails to implement the 2017-2021 Public Universities Collective Bargaining Agreement. According to Kudeha, it has been 11 months since the court ruled that the Inter-Public University Council Consultative Forum implements the CBA.
Solidarity forever. Kenya Union of Domestic Hotels, Educational Institutions and Hospital Workers want the government to indicate when the 7.2 billion shillings arrears of salary implementation of the CBA will be paid to members.
There has not been communication about from the ministry, IPCCF, indicating on how we are going to be paid our money since our CBA 2017-2021 was signed and registered by Industrial Court. That our CBA for 2017-2021 needs to be financed with 7.2 billion shillings. And that those are arrears because the CBA is already expiring on the 30th of June 2021.
The union threatening to undertake industrial action if the ministry fails to implement 2017-2021 Public Universities CBA with KUDEHA as per the court ruling.
Kama hiyo pesa haitakuwa kwa akaunti zetu by 30th of June, wafanyikazi wa universities wako na jukumu na wako na haki ya kutenda yale yanatakiwa kutenda kikatiba. Na katiba yetu inazokwambia section 41 lazima tuendelee na majadiliano, na wakati majadiliano itakuwa haiwezi kuendelea, kuna kitu kinaitwa right of strike. Sisi hatutaki kwenda mgomo, lakini tunadai haki yetu, na haki yetu ni 7.2 billion shillings. Sisi tuko na haki ya kwenda mgomo wakati wowote, na tutafuata taratibu yote ile inatakikana kikatiba. Kwa hivyo tunapeana notice ya kwamba ikifika tarehe 30 na tujalipwa 7.2 billion shillings, tutafuata katiba.
This even as it opposed the move by the government to freeze pay hikes for all public officers for 2 years.
The ministry and the universities have been able to pay 6.6 billion shillings. We are worried that with the emerging issues of SRC, that our CBA for 2017-2021 needs to be financed with 7.2 billion shillings. And that those are arrears, because the CBA is already expiring on the 30th of June 2021.
This week, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission announced the freezing of pay hikes for all public officers for 2 years. SRC citing physical challenges and efforts to tame runaway wage bill as the main reasons, with the hardest hit being teachers and elected officials.
To release resources for investment in the priority areas, the wage bill to revenue and to GDP ratios must take a trajectory towards achievement of the target ratios.
The fact that COVID pandemic has hit us very hard as a people, and it's during these moments that we have to engineer new ways of finding solutions.
So when government is proposing that perhaps we should think of withholding increments for 2 years, don't go to war with government. It will not result in anything. Because you fight a war that will end with something.
KUDEHA wants public universities to have some sense of autonomy and be allowed to form individual commissions to regulate fair labor practices as enshrined in the Constitution. KUDEHA has in the meantime urged the government to consider increasing capitation for universities to enable the institutions meet their financial obligations.
We are no longer increasing the capitation, extending and decreasing the capitation of the universities. This is the wrong approach. This is the wrong way of doing things. And this is all done without public participation from the stakeholders.
Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
And police in Bahati Estate here in Nairobi are investigating the death of a 5-year-old girl who was allegedly electrocuted by low-hanging power lines. Baby Miriam Nyaboke Mbaka is said to have been playing outside her house when the tragedy occurred. Residents have demanded answers, even as they accuse the Kenya Power and Lighting Company of negligence.
According to the father, Dalin Mbaka, his daughter was playing outside their house when she was electrocuted by dangerously hanging electricity wires.
Sasa kuangalia mtoto wangu nikapata amefunjika mguu na mgongo hapa. Wakati alipigwa x-ray nilipata amekatika kabisa hapa mgongo. Hata ningefanya nisingemsaidia.
Act by the tragedy, residents say there haven't been any meaning attempts by the Kenya Power to fix the low-hanging power lines.
Tunahitaji wakuja turekebishie hizo zote wazichange.
Na pia vile wanakata stima wanakata vibaya sana, sababu walikuja wanazivuta hizo mawaya wakivuta huku. Ni negligence, sababu tulikujaribu kuongea na hao, na baba kwanza mwenyewe alikuwa kwa hapo na anawaambia kabla hawajagusa, anawaambia hii kitu inatingika, lakini waliendelea tu.
Sisi hatukatai ni illegal, sawa, juu hivyo ndio wanasema, wakipanda juu unasikia wanasema inasoma Kibira, lakini sio wewe mwenyewe ulijipatia hiyo token. Those guys ndio walikuja hapo wakafanya nini? Wakatuuzia hizo tokens. So sisi kilio yetu kama wakaaji wa hapa Bahati, haki ya huyu mama kwanza ipatikane. Ya pili, Kenya Power ikuwe accountable.
The residents want Kenya Power to take responsibility and fix the problem to avert further loss of life. Reporting for Channel 1 News, Amamboyo Tende.
Now, gestational diabetes is a disease that affects some women during pregnancy. It causes high blood sugar that can affect a woman's pregnancy and their unborn baby's health. Our reporter Caroline Kamau spoke to Cecilia Cheruyot, who has suffered this condition and had to deliver her baby 4 weeks early. She shares the medical complications the 2-month-old child has endured, which has left his both parents emotionally and financially drained, having incurred a bill of 2.1 million shillings.
Cecilia Cheruyot holds on to baby Emmanuel Kiptoo. He's 2 months old now, but his life has been nothing short of eventful since coming into this world.
Wakati nilipata mimba, nilikuwa na complication mingi sana. Ikafikia kiwango ya kulazwa hospitali mapema kabla hajafikisha masiku ya kuzaliwa. So daktari akaniambia venye kunimonitor akasema naweza tolewa akiwa na 36 weeks.
Emmanuel had to be taken into ICU at the Metropolitan Hospital in Buruburu in what his parents and doctors thought would be for not more than a week. But due to breathing complications, he was in ICU for 3 weeks and on oxygen support.
17th mwezi wa 4 nilitolewa mtoto saa 8 ya mchana. Alikuwa sawa, alilia. Wakati alipelekwa nursery, na mimi nikapelekwa kwa ward. Walirudi kitu saa 1 hivi. Wakaniuliza baba mtoto ako wapi? Ama ni nani uko na yeye? Nikaambia niko peke yangu, wale nilikuwa na wao wameenda nyumbani. So niliwauliza shida ni nini? Wakaniambia mtoto ako hali mbaya sana.
An hour on oxygen support costs 10,000 shillings. Baby Emmanuel's incubator costs 15,000 shillings a day.
Mama nakupenda, tumetoka mbali. Si ndio baba?
Having lost another son due to gestational diabetes in 2017, Cecilia was inconsolable.
Nikawa sasa moyo wangu umevunjika kabisa. Sina tumaini. Nilikuwa naona giza mbele yangu. Kwa sitaki kuongea. Kwa nasikia nimefika mwisho.
Gestational diabetes occurs when a woman's body can't make the extra insulin needed during pregnancy, resulting into high blood sugar. After 3 weeks in the ICU, Emmanuel was moved to the HDU and later to the general ward, but before the mother and child could bond, he developed complications that saw him taken back to ICU for yet another week.
Wakati mtoto alitoka ICU akaekwa HDU, at least nilikuwa na furaha. Tukakaa wiki tena moja. After 1 week akatolewa HDU, nikamletewa kwa kitanda. Lakini bado after 2 days ama ni 3 days mtoto akawa mgonjwa tena.
Today, mother and child are back at home, and the young boy has recuperated well. However, their lengthy stay in hospital has drained them financially. The family is appealing for help in settling an outstanding medical bill amounting to 1 million shillings. To support the family, send your financial donation to Joseph Cheruyot on 0721 216 065. Caroline Kamar reporting for Channel 1 News.
Any help whatsoever will go a long way in helping Cecilia and her angel Emmanuel. Elsewhere, the Ministry of Education has issued guidelines for the implementation of the free day secondary education for the year 2021-2022. The government says it will continue enhancing its capitation for free day secondary education to ensure parents are not exploited. As part of mitigating the impact of COVID-19, the ministry will also subsidize boarding fees, and schools will now be required to operate different accounts for various items.
In the latest guidelines released by the Ministry of Education, each learner in a day secondary school will continue getting 22,244 Kenya shillings annually. For a school to be eligible for a subsidy, it must be duly registered and headed by a principal duly appointed by the Teacher Service Commission. The school must further be registered on the NEMIS platform alongside updated details of learners. Additionally, the bank account for tuition and operational grants must be registered in NEMIS and with the Ministry of Education at all its levels. In terms of boarding schools, following the disruption of the school calendar from 39 to 30 weeks for the academic year beginning 26th of July to 4th of March 2022, the Ministry of Education has revised guidelines on fees payable by parents. The government will provide subsidy for each learner in a boarding school that is equal to that for each in a day school, amounting to 22,244 Kenya shillings. Category A schools that include all national schools and extra county schools located in Nairobi, Mombasa, Nakuru, Kisumu, Nyeri, Thika and Eldoret towns, the total school fees shall be 67,244 Kenya shillings. Out of this amount, the government will pay 22,244 Kenya shillings, while the parent will be required to foot the remaining 45,000 Kenya shillings. Category B that includes extra county boarding schools that are located in other areas other than the towns of Nairobi, Mombasa, Nakuru, Kisumu, Thika and Eldoret, the school fees total shall be 57,244 Kenya shillings. While the government will foot 22,244 shillings, the parent will be required to pay 35,000 shillings. The grand total in special needs schools shall be 65,167 shillings. The government will cater for 53,807 shillings and the parent will foot the remaining 10,860 shillings. Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
We are taking another short break, but when I come back, of course, I will be telling you more about Father's Day. And still on the same, Rose Kasichana tuned in, wishing my father a happy and long life. Judith Wazensta, you're watching from Ekero Massive, watching from Kakamega. Happy Father's Day. That's Beb Munyasa. And also watching from Nyeri Town, Githinji Wapuding from Nairobi. Watching live. Happy Father's Day to my father, William Mugeni, and all the sacrifices he made for our sake. That is Mtoto Mkenya. Let's have that break. We'll be right back. And by the way, sports fan, we have a treat for you at 10 in the CAF Champions League.
Umemulizia nani vile?
Kabiru.
Pascal, kama ni mtihani umefeli. Umetoka. Inaitwa kujipanga kabla hujapanga.
Namtaka mwanangu Masha.
Kati yako na mimi, ni nani anayemjua babake Masha vizuri? Kumbuka, mimi ni mamake.
Malaria ni ugonjwa hatari sana unaoua watu wengi hapa Kenya. Japo kuko na corona, hatari ya malaria bado iko. Mtoto huyu alikuwa na joto jingi, kutetemeka, kuumwa na viungo na uchovu. Alikimbizwa hospitali ya umma ambako sheria za COVID-19 huzingatiwa na ni salama kwa shughuli ya upimaji. Vipimo vilionyesha kuwa ana malaria na papo hapo daktari akampa dawa za malaria na kumshauri azimalize, na ili kujikinga wawe wakilala ndani ya neti iliyotibiwa. Malaria husambazwa na mbu. Walio hatarini ni watoto wa chini ya miaka 5 na akina mama wajawazito. Kupimwa na kutibiwa ni bure katika hospitali zote za umma. Usisahau adui malaria. Zero malaria huanza na mimi. Chukua jukumu leo. Komesha malaria. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na Wizara ya Afya.
If you have been in contact with someone who is suspected or has tested positive for COVID-19, self-quarantine for 14 days and call 7194 for help. Self-quarantine restricts movement and the spread of the disease and protects your family, friends and community from being infected. During self-quarantine, you are advised to stay in a separate room, disinfect surfaces and clothing with appropriate disinfectant, avoid sharing household items, including utensils, towels and beddings, do not receive visitors, wear an appropriate face mask if you must be around other people. COVID-19 is preventable. Protect yourself, family and the community. This message has been brought to you by the Government of Kenya and its partners.
Kupata skiza tune ya usifadhaishwe, dial star 811, star 815 hash.
Usifadhaishwe na mafanikio ya wengine ukihisi kwamba maisha yako hayana maana. Kumbuka wengi huzungumzia tu mafanikio yao na si changamoto walizozipitia na ni mara ngapi walianguka. Tia bidii, muda wako utafika.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya usifadhaishwe kwa simu yako, dial star 811 star 815 hash, star 811 star 815 hash.
Banki imeconfirm pesa zimeingia. Congratulations Sam, gari ni lako sasa.
Shukran. Oi boss, si uniache insurance yako nitumie kabla nijipange.
We! Insurance ya gari haiwezi kuwa transferred kwa mtu mwingine.
Sina habari na nikuulize, hii comprehensive insurance inakava vitu gani?
Comprehensive motor insurance inakava gari linapoharibika wakati wa ajali pamoja na uharibifu wa mali ya mtu mwingine, gari likiibiwa au likichomeka. Pia inakava passenger wa gari lako na passenger wa lile gari lingine kunapotokea ajali.
Kwani umenisahau mimi kama driver?
Dereva hakui covered na comprehensive insurance, ila anajitafutia personal accident cover.
Umenichanua. Rose, acha nishughulikie hiyo insurance, nitakujia gari kesho.
Okay, sawa.
Yeah.
Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na IRA. IRA, bima bora kwa taifa.
He served as the country's last vice president in the Moi era, as deputy prime minister during President Kibaki's first term, but out of government throughout President Uhuru Kenyatta's reign. Now, ahead of 2022 general election, his eyes are on the jackpot. What is his driving force? His guiding principle? His philosophy? Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi on The Perspective this Monday, only on KBC Prime Edition.
Welcome back. Now, this Sunday, the world is honoring the contribution of the father in bringing forth society, in a tradition credited to Sonora Smart Dodd of Spokane, Washington, dating back to 1909. Father's Day is meant to impress upon fathers to measure their obligations and establish intimate relationships with their offsprings. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Take a look.
The world is this Sunday celebrating Father's Day, meant to inspire fathers and appreciate the special role in bringing up a cohesive family setup. Is traced back to 1909 when Sonora Smart Dodd, who sought to honor her father William Jackson Smart, a farmer and a single parent who raised her and her 5 brothers by himself. In 1966, U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson, through an executive order, designated the third Sunday in June as the official day to celebrate Father's Day, but it was not until 1972, during the Nixon administration, that Father's Day was officially recognized as a national holiday. In Kenya, many took to social media to celebrate their fathers with messages of love and inspiration. As Joanna Fush writes, "You may have thought I didn't see, or that I hadn't heard, life lessons that you taught me, but I got every word. Perhaps you thought I missed it all, and that would grow apart. But Dad, I picked up everything. It's written in my heart." Happy Father's Day to all fathers. For Channel 1 News, I'm Serafina Robbie.
We'll have a look at what's in store for the sports.
So what is my number one favorite football team? Njue. My number one meal? Ngoho Nendebusuma. What is your number one?
This is it. The wait is over. The rally drivers are here. 4 days to go to the biggest sporting event this year, the WRC Safari Rally. Catch all the drama and action of the Safari Rally live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1 from 24th to 27th June. This event will also be covered live on KBC Radio Taifa and streamed live on www.kbc.co.ke. Don't miss out. Rally in the wild with KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
With Olympics, where Olympics Kenya and the Ministry of Sports have signed a memorandum of understanding towards the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. The prestigious quadrennial global sports extravaganza will run from the July 23rd to August the 8th.
Says the cooperation and collaboration between the National Olympics Body and the Ministry, ensuring that there are smooth, well-defined roles by the two institutions with a view to deliver successful Kenyan athletes' participation in the Games.
It's part of the promise that we made when we moved into the Ministry. A promise that we're going to make all our processes, all our systems, all the structures that we put in place transparent and accountable. And a promise that all of us will be accountable from wherever we sit.
The government through the ministry has fully funded the preparations, including the qualification process and eventual participation of Team Kenya at the Olympic Games. Sports Cabinet Secretary Dr. Amina Mohamed says the move will ensure there is a clarity of roles. The ceremony that was done on the sidelines of the just concluded Athletics National Olympics trials at Kasarani Stadium was witnessed by the Cabinet Secretary for Sports Dr. Amina Mohamed, the Principal Secretary State Department of Sports Joe Okudo, Olympics Kenya First Vice President Shadrack Maluki, Acting Secretary General Francis Mutuko, and President of the Kenya National Paralympic Committee Agnes Oluoch. Karanja David for Channel 1 Sports.
Rally sensation Karan Patel will don the Amre Flying Doctors colors at this year's WRC Safari Rally after the long-term partnership was unveiled at the AMREF hangar at the Wilson Airport. According to Stephen Obuya, AMREF's chief commercial officer, they settled on Karan Patel and his navigator to save Han because of their achievements in motorsport industry. Karan Patel, who has taken part in the World Rally Championship event before, says he is ready for the WRC Safari Rally and he is hoping for a top 3 finish in the WRC RC2. The Safari Rally is making a comeback to the global scene after 19 years. Karan Patel is among the 34 Kenyan drivers who will take part in the event that we run from the 24th to the 27th of June.
And benefit greatly from this one event, and it's my hope and wish.
We sought to work with them because Amref Flying Doctors is a medical evacuation provider, specifically by air, but also ground. And in such events, you do have incidences that can happen, and we are basically, our core business is to respond to medical evacuation.
Elsewhere, the Nairobi South Kenya University Students Association NASOKUSA Games resumed this weekend after a long recess brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. In the opening matches of the KUSA, Nairobi South played at the University of Nairobi grounds. Zetech University thrashed Technical University of Kenya, took 3 goals to nil in men's soccer, while Multimedia University lost 1-2 to Zetech, while Strathmore saw off took 1 goal to nil. In basketball, Multimedia University defeated Strathmore 63-49 baskets, while Zetech humbled Multimedia University 62-22 in the men's category. In women basketball, Zetech registered a 48-23 win over Tuk. The game themselves witnessed a low turnout due to COVID-19 restrictions, with the new season set to culminate later in August.
We just kicked off the NASOKUSA games, and we are beginning with 2 clusters. We will be doing them on intervals. So this first weekend, we had soccer, basketball, and hockey. But hockey, it was suspended for some reasons, technical reasons. And then as from next weekend, we'll be having handball, volleyball, and netball.
Come to the end of Channel 1 Weekend on this Father's Day. Thank you so much indeed for keeping me company. A minute, let me appreciate Jackson Amani watching from Malindi. Keep us informing us that way. Thank you, Ronex Fred. Ronex, you are saying KBC Best Channel. Thank you so much. Githinjua Pudding, thanks for the news. You say, now we know. James Otieno watching live from Kisumu with your wife Lavenda and son Lloyd. Of course, I can see a lot of you actually appreciating their fathers. Thank you so much on all behalf of everyone who has made this day a success. And of course, the news themselves, I wish you a lovely night. But sports fan, we have something for you beginning 10 a.m. Raja Casablanca of Morocco will be facing it out with the Pharaohs of Egypt in the CAF Champions League semi-finals. And of course, keep it Channel 1. Tomorrow we have lined up something mega, something big that will make you love KBC even the more. Thank you so much. My name is Ben Troy Njue, and Byron Abuli has been our sign language interpreter for tonight. Good night.